Okay. It's been a really long road for you before getting this title fight. How confident were you that you would be in this position fighting for the belts after everything that happened since the Misha Tate fight?
I felt like it was an opportunity that was definitely coming. I feel like I've definitely proved myself and I've completely earned this position. So I felt really comfortable. I felt like my stock was very high. I know that it was a long time off, but it's MMA. It's a crazy sport. Those are things that you can't control. It's going to happen. The injuries are going to happen. And, I never understood that once you get the injury bug, it doesn't tend to go away. So it was a rough year, but I felt very confident that as soon as I returned, the opportunity would be mine.
You had three surgeries before the car accident, right? How tough was it mentally for you to overcome that and get ready for such a big fight for you?
It was extremely hard for me just given the fact that I've never had surgeries. I've never had injuries like that. So it was kind of one of those things to where I was having right shoulder surgery. I thought that I could do something with my left arm. And doc was like, nope. And then it was just, I had right wrist surgery. And I was like, well, I can still do everything with my legs and my left side. Doc said no. So it was just like everything that I had in mind and how ambitious I was shut down with it. And to actually be taken away from what I'm completely used to and having to sit down and do nothing, it was a huge struggle for me. I went through my emotional roller coaster. Luckily, I had Tisha there to really support me and try to keep my spirits up. I have a very supportive family, but it was a tough year for me. But like I've said, I've had the opportunity to where even though physically I had to take some time off, mentally I never took any time off. I still feel very strong mentally, and the fact that I do coach Tisha, corner Tisha and help her train, and then I train other females and just constantly around the sport still, I think that was something that was big for me. So it kind of kept me around everything, and I don't feel like I ever stopped.
Have you considered taking a warm-up fight before fighting Amanda and not coming back against such a big task against the champion?
For me, a fight's a fight. And yes, this is the biggest fight in my career, and it's the biggest fight in any fighter's career. This is what we all hope for and dream for. But at the end of the day, it's another fight. She's another opponent, and there's plenty of other girls that offer the same thing. And for me, it was kind of one of the things to where I have the biggest opportunity in front of me. Why not take it? Why not run with it and embrace the journey? And that's exactly what I'm doing, because let's say I took another fight and did other things and I got another win or I got a loss, like where would that put me back? And when it comes down to the business aspect, you got to kind of be smart with it.
You talked a little bit about this, but I want to go back to it. So you go through all this and this tough recovery period and the roller coaster and everything else, and then it's like, well, yeah, now it's my chance. And then they start talking about Cyborg. When that first really, yeah, you talked about being frustrated by it, but I guess I just wanted to know how did you first start hearing of it? Was it the media, and what was like your immediate reaction to the conversation itself?
I first seen it on social media, and it was just kind of one of those things to where we're going to fight or this is happening, or, everybody goes around and they make the posters to where they put the fighters together, the fights that they want to see. And for me, it was extremely frustrating. I get the fact of me and Amanda spoke before, and there was a comment on Twitter, and I said that I was returning in May and I'd fight for the world title then. She's like, I don't want to wait till May. I can completely get that. Like, we like to stay active, and it's not like we fight all the time. So 2 to 3 times a year is a great time to stay very active. And so her wanting to do that, Cyborg being on hold as well, okay, it made sense to actually kind of go forward with a fight, but then same token, it didn't really make sense because she's a 145er, Amanda's a 135er. Like, I get this whole super fight and all this other stuff, but it doesn't exactly, I feel like for me, it started feeling like more of an entertainment thing, and that's what was making me more frustrated, because including myself and girls in our division, they've worked extremely hard, and this is goals that they wanted. So if you have somebody who else is hurt or whatever, like, move forward with other females in your same division, and that's kind of how I felt on it.
Did you make any moves, like start calling, like blowing up people's phones and like, is this serious? Did you actively do anything to try to make sure that that spot was yours?
For me, it's kind of one of those things. I don't talk shit. I don't do anything, and I feel like if it's going to happen, it's going to happen no matter how hard you try. So it's kind of one of those things that I ride the wave and I enjoy the journey. I do have to admit, when we were in negotiations for the fight with me and Amanda, and I felt like we should have previously had our contract like the week prior to Cyborg last fighting. neither one of us received our contract, but then it was like all of a sudden it went into talks that the fight was going to be scrapped. That I did take action. I took screenshots of, Dana's comments being said and everything else, and I sent them to the matchmakers and everybody in UFC, and I was like, can somebody tell me what's happening, because this is a bunch of bullshit, honestly. Like, I feel like it was something that we were already in talks of things. We should have had a contract. Things should have been signed. It shouldn't have been something to wait for Cyborg to fight and then let's see what's going to happen.
And then when they were like, when your contract finally arrived, was it a relief for you? Like, okay, this is finally on.
Yeah, it was definitely exciting, and it was just kind of one of those things to where, okay, well, the next question popped up. How do you feel that maybe yours and Amanda's fight is only happening because Cyborg doesn't want to fight in May? And, it's this whole thing is just, it makes my blood boil. It pisses me off. I'm going to say it again. This is an opportunity that I deserved, and this is a fight that does make sense. It's me and Amanda are both 135ers, and I am the number one contender, so that's what makes sense.
Since you talked about your division, so say you do beat Amanda and you become the champion, do you take it upon yourself to like remove yourself from the super fight conversation? Because there's always a chance you're going to get there and they're going to offer you Cyborg or something. Will you be concerned with just making sure that your division is evolving?
Of course I want to see women's MMA evolve and continue to grow like it is. It's come a long way. But it's one of those things to where, like I said, 135er. I'm a 135er. Granted, I walk a lot higher and everything like that, but, I've thrown it out there. They want to see a super fight. Okay, well, what's not to say that when I beat Amanda that I turn around and Cyborg's just another female. She's in a higher division, but who's to say that I wouldn't fight her too? And so those were talks that were being said too, but my main focus is my division. My main focus is the other females that are behind us that are working just as hard every single day to have these same opportunities.
You got the fight you wanted. Amanda Nunes has only 4 losses in MMA, and she was finishing in 3 of those losses. Is that how you picture yourself beating her?
A fight's a fight. You can't really go in there and say that I'm going to knock her out, I'm going to submit her, I'm going to do this, because once that cage door closes, it's a whole different ballgame. And so, my main focus this entire camp is just becoming the best version of myself and really focusing on me. And, I've been around Amanda. We fought on a lot of the same cards, or we've seen each other fight. And it's kind of one of those things where I can't exactly say how she's going to show up to the fight. She can't say how I'm going to show up. I just know that when I focus on me and the fact that of all this time off, my drive and my hunger is on a whole new level. So it's just really about focusing on what I can be dominant in. And, I think this fight, just given the fact that we have a lot of respect for each other, we do have the friendship and everything else, the sportsmanship, I think it's going to come down to who wants it most. And mine and Amanda's styles match up very well. And I can say that with my hunger and drive, I'm the one that wants it.
This is your first fight outside of the U.S., right?
Yes.
How deep is it going to be making this long trip and cutting weight and all that? How you're changing it to adapt to that difference?
It's my first fight out of the U.S. and it's exciting. I've always wanted to come to Rio for vacation or whatever, but now here I am having the opportunity to fight for my dream and fight for the world title. So it's more motivating. We're coming into her homeland, and there is everybody saying well, you're getting set up, you're going to Brazil. But to me, it's another octagon, it's another arena, and it's another opponent. It doesn't change things. I'm definitely coming from Colorado, so I'm coming from the high altitude, which I feel like I definitely have an advantage there. Coming down here when we first arrived for this media stuff, I went for a 3-mile run and I couldn't even get my heart rate up. So it's just one of those things to where for me, I have to work a little bit harder just to get my heart rate up, catch my second wind. But I've gone down to sea level so many times that I feel like I'm a professional with that opportunity. And so I'm just excited. I'm coming into her homeland and I feel like the pressure is going to be on her.
You did talk about your blood boiling a bit, and you mentioned you're no stranger to being the underdog, but it does get a little bit tiring probably. So how does this play into this fight? Like, do you come into it with a chip on your shoulder? Does it make you more motivated to really make a statement there?
In a way, yes. And like I said, my hunger and my drive. I've always been a very humble person. I'm just grateful for being able to have such a strong body and the opportunity and the will and everything to be on this stage. So that's one thing that's just kind of, it pushes me, and I like to challenge myself and constantly grow. I've been an underdog my entire career, and like I said, it takes the pressure off of me, but then at the same token, going through the Ultimate Fighter and everything, you got to kind of learn how to play with different emotions, being taken out of your comfort zone, stuff like that. So you know, it's one of those things to where I'm not going to walk into the octagon with a chip on my shoulder. I don't feel like that gets people anywhere. But I definitely do have the confidence behind me, and I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to have fun.
Just a big difference in these fights is that you're having you're going to have a lot less tattoos when you step inside of the octagon. I was checking your Instagram, and that you are removing a lot of tattoos. Why did you decide to get rid of some of the tattoos you have?
You know, all my tattoos, they have meaning. I didn't just go into a tattoo parlor one day and pick out things off the wall. Everything definitely has meaning, but it's just kind of been one of those things to where, you know, I guess I've grown up, I've matured a little bit, and I haven't gone through that wild phase anymore. But also, you know, especially before my surgeries and stuff, I was getting very muscular, and I was just liking the muscle striations, and you can't exactly see it with ink on you. So I do have a tattoo sponsor, and I would just go in, and I call him my torture buddy for life. So we just had our hangout sessions, and we just started removing things. And, you know, the more that it started coming off, I liked it. And there's things that to where, you know, I removed things from my leg, but I've moved them up to my sleeve. I'm incorporating everything still because, like I said, they do have meaning. But it's just, I guess, the places, just clearing up the canvas.
Which ones did you get rid of, move to your arm?
The turtle that's on my leg, I'm still in the process of removing it. But right now, I'll have to admit, I'm a little scared to get a treatment just because that is the leg that got injured. And the nerve filling back there it's different. So, but I'm removing that one, and I moved it up to my arm. It resembles when I fought in Hawaii. I fought Raquel Pennington, who was a native of Hawaii, and we were the first professional female to ever fight for a title out there. So I became the Hawaiian Islands champion, and it was just something that it was another milestone for me. And then, you know, I had Tigger on my leg with basketball, and there's things that are always there that mark stepping stones in my life. But it was just kind of one of the things to where, you know, I have it up here, and I have all the memories, and I have it in my heart, and so I don't need it on my body anymore.
Why does a turtle represent that fight?
It was just kind of everything. It's just the meaning of a sea turtle for one, but then also while we were out there, it's kind of funny. We talk about it all the time, but when I fought Raquel, I ended up getting a contusion on my brain. Didn't know it, and I was out swimming in the middle of the ocean with the sea turtles, and so it's just kind of one of those things that really reminds me of Hawaii, and so I chose to get the tribal sea turtle.